Alrighty, Judge. Looks like everyone's back in the main room. Whenever you are ready, you can begin.
Okay, good morning. I want to start this morning by first introducing myself. My name is Jacqueline Valdes, and I preside over the 386 Juvenile District Court here in Bexar County. And I also want to thank each of you for logging in this morning for your Zoom jury summons. It's so important that we have people in the community that are willing to respond to their jury summons and come and listen and participate with our justice system, because it is the only way that we can get our job done. And after COVID and getting back to trials, there's many cases that do need to be worked out. And so nothing works out quite as quickly as when a jury is standing in the hallway, able, ready, and willing to listen to the facts of a case and make decisions about people's, lives and questions that they've needed answered for oftentimes many years. So I just want to thank all of you for being here this morning. And I'm going to probably say this way too many times, but just so that you guys know, today we are on Zoom and we are qualifying jurors for a trial that is set to start on Friday. So if you qualify to sit as a juror in Bexar County and you don't exercise an exemption if one applies to you and you don't have a time constraint, you may be assigned to a panel that will need to appear in person on Friday. That being said, there's only one panel that we are needing to generate this morning. So we're going to be looking for about 100 people to come on Friday. So if you're not really wanting to come, today might be a good day to see if you can possibly stick around. And then if you don't get assigned, then you've fulfilled your duty until you get summoned again. So I think if you're a risk taker and you want a chance of not having to come down, today would be the day to stick it out and see what happens. Because like I said, we are only qualifying for one trial that is scheduled to start on Friday, and we're going to need 100 jurors for Friday. So you have like a 25% chance of getting picked, because I think we have a little over 400 people here this morning. So I'm going to start off by swearing you in this morning. The oath that you're going to take this morning applies to the disqualifications and exemptions that we'll talk about today. And the oath also carries over if you are assigned to come in on Friday morning. And that's the time when the lawyers and the judges will have an opportunity to talk to you about the particular case that you would be hearing and to make decisions about whether they feel that you could be, and whether you feel that you could be, a fair and impartial juror with respect to that particular kind of case. And so the oath that I'm about to administer is for this morning, and it also carries over into Friday if you are requested to come and be part of the panel on Friday. So at this time, I'm going to ask each of you to raise your right hand. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you will make true answers to such questions as may be propounded to you by the court or under its directions, touching your service and qualifications as a juror? So help you God.
Yes.
I do. Yes.
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 I do.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do. Yes.
Yes.
I do.
I do.
Yes. I
I
do.
do.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Yes.
I do. I do.
I do.
I
do.
I do.
I do. I do. I do. I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you so much. That's kind of a bittersweet
I do.
moment for me, because I really enjoy
I do.
hearing, over 400 people saying I do. And today is our last Zoom qualification. We're going to be back in person on Monday morning. So this will be, unfortunately, the last time I get to hear that, because it always kind of brightens my day hearing all of the I do's. And so in saying that, just so you know, is if you can't make it on Friday, if you have a time constraint, you won't be able to make it in person and we need to reset you today, then the next time you come, this whole procedure will be done in person in the central jury room. So we are going to be done with Zoom jury qualifications and exemptions today. And like I said before, Today, we're going to talk about the qualifications and the exemptions, and then on Friday is when the attorneys and the judge will have an opportunity to talk to you about the particular case and have discussions about whether you feel that you can be a fair and impartial juror in that particular case. And so today we have no way of knowing, or I have no way of knowing what kind of case it is that the panel is going to be called to hear on Friday. But for instance, if me saying that I preside over a juvenile court gives you a feeling that maybe you've been touched by the juvenile justice system and you feel that you can't be a fair and impartial juror in a juvenile case, you could hear any number of different kinds of cases on Friday. It is not necessarily a juvenile case. The jurors that we qualify hear cases ranging from traffic tickets. It could be a county court case, both civil and criminal. It could be a district court case, both civil and criminal, dealing with either some kind of felony offense or possibly a divorce case or a car accident case or a contract case. It could be a probate case. It could be a guardianship case. So there's just no way of knowing this morning what kind of case it is that you're going to be presiding over. But I just want to let you know that we won't address this morning whether you feel that you can be a fair and impartial juror, because that conversation is going to be had on Friday. This morning, we are going to be talking about whether you are qualified to sit as a juror in Bexar County. And then also, if you have an exemption that applies to you, you can make a decision about whether you would like to exercise that exemption. And so today's jury qualifications, and if you're placed on a panel, you will be coming back to court on Friday morning. So if you have any kind of time constraint with respect to coming back on Friday, we need to know that this morning. If you don't let us know and then something comes up and you can't make it on Friday, the central jury room staff cannot excuse you. The only person that can excuse you would be the judge in the court on Friday. So you would have to appear and take that up with the judge of the court that you're assigned to. And so if there is a conflict and you know for sure that you cannot make it on Friday, we would need to know that this morning and address that issue this morning. What we don't need to talk about this morning is if you have a trip scheduled for next week, we don't need to talk about that. You can talk to the judge and the court on Friday, but if you have a vacation scheduled for this Friday, we would need to know that. If there's a doctor's appointment that can't be rescheduled that you need to make it to on Friday, we would need to know that so that we can postpone the jury service. We also won't be talking about any financial hardships this morning. That discussion can be had with the judge of the court where you would be assigned on Friday. So today it's really important that we know if you have a time constraint that would make it so you cannot appear in person on Friday. I'm going to go through at this time the qualifications for sitting as a juror in Bexar County, and then go over the exemptions and explain to you how that works. And then I'll have an opportunity to talk a bit about the COVID protocols that are going on downtown. And you'll also have an opportunity to talk to us if you have any concerns regarding COVID-19. So first, I'm going to start off by going through the qualifications for being a juror in Bexar County. You have to be at least 18 years of age. If you are not 18 years of age, we would need to know that this morning because you would not be qualified to sit as a juror in Bexar County. You also need to be a citizen of the United States and a resident of Texas, and as well as a resident of Bexar County. So if those don't apply to you, let us know, because then you would not be qualified to sit as a juror in Bexar County. You also need to be qualified under the Constitution and the laws in Bexar County to vote. That does not mean that you have to be registered. It does not mean that you do vote. It just means that you have to be qualified under the Constitution and the laws of Bexar County to vote. Also, you need to be of sound mind and good moral character. So if you have been diagnosed by a doctor that you are not of sound mind or of good moral character, then we would need to know, because then you are not qualified to sit as a juror. You also need to be able to read and write. This needs to be in the English language, because much of the evidence that's admitted at trial typically has things that need to be read from police reports or possibly medical records or letters that are admitted, things like that. We need to make sure that the jurors are able to read that information and understand it. Also, you cannot have served as a petit juror for 6 days during the preceding 3 months. in a county court or during the preceding 6 months in a district court. And also you cannot have been convicted of a misdemeanor theft or a felony, and also not under indictment or legal accusation for a misdemeanor theft or felony. And just to clarify that, the only misdemeanor that applies would be a theft case. Other misdemeanors here do not apply. So if you have been convicted or are under indictment or legal accusation for a different misdemeanor, like a DWI or an assault case or a criminal mischief case or something like that, then that does not apply. The only misdemeanor that applies would be a theft case. And then all felonies apply. So if you have been convicted or are under indictment or other legal accusation for a felony offense, we would need to know that. So these are the requirements to be qualified to sit as a juror in Bexar County. And if there's one of them that does not apply to you, we would need to know that. Next, I'm going to go over the exemptions. I want to explain how the exemptions are different. If any of the exemptions apply to you, then you can exercise an exemption and you will be excused from your jury duty without any questions. We would appreciate it if you stayed. But if you want to exercise the exemption, then let us know and you will be excused from your jury duty. So if you are over 70 years of age, you can exercise an exemption. If you have legal custody of a child that's younger than 12 years of age and that serving on the jury would leave your child without adequate supervision, then you can exercise an exemption. I just want to point out a couple of things with respect to this. You have to have legal custody of the child. This is not a child that you babysit. It's a child that is your child that you have legal custody over. And also that if you were to come to your jury duty, the child would not be adequately supervised. So if you already have some other form of supervision for the child, if the child goes to, let's say, full-time daycare, goes to school, and then an after-school program, then this exemption doesn't apply to you. But if you are responsible for taking care of the child and coming to jury duty would leave the child without adequate supervision, then please let us know. Also, if you are a student of a public or private secondary school, or you are enrolled in an actual attendance at an institute of higher education, let us know, because then you can exercise an exemption. And if you are an officer or an employee of the Senate, the House of Representatives, or any department, commission, board, or other agency in the legislative branch of state government, you can exercise an exemption. If you are the primary caretaker of a person who's an invalid and unable to care for himself, you can exercise an exemption, but just note that you need to be the primary caretaker of this person. And if you are not there, then the person is unable to care for themselves. Also, if you are summoned for jury duty in Bexar County and you served as a petit juror in the county during the 3-year period preceding your new summons, then let us know and you can exercise an exemption. And if you are a member of the United States Military Forces serving on active duty and deployed to a location that's away from your home station and out of your county of residence, then you can exercise an exemption. So like I said, if any of these apply to you, we would still love it if you would come and participate with your jury duty. But if you want to exercise an exemption, let us know and you will be excused. Now I'm going to go over some of the COVID-19 protocols that are being used down at the courthouse. Like I told you today, if you are assigned to a panel, you will be requested to come in person on Friday morning. You're going to be told what time and where to report. If between now and then you were to come down with any symptoms of illness, we do not want you to come down to the courthouse. We want you to call the court where you are asked to report and let them know what's going on and how you're feeling and see what they tell you to do next. And so if you wake up or over the course of the next 2 days, if you begin to develop a fever, a cough, nausea, sore throat, muscle aches, if you're feeling malaise or have diarrhea, shortness of breath, vomiting, or a recent loss of taste or smell, please let the court know that you have been assigned to. So call them, let them know what your symptoms are and see what they tell you to do next. Also, if you are sick or not feeling well, if you're under quarantine for COVID-19, if you've tested positive for COVID-19, or if you've had contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19, call the court that you've been assigned to prior to coming to the courthouse and let them know what's going on and see what they tell you to do next. We are operating under special order number 72711, which was issued on December 17th, 2021. And this is the order that controls whether we are using masks and how much social distancing we're using within the courthouse. And this is for anybody doing business in the courthouse, which includes your jury service. And so we are using the City of San Antonio's COVID-19 dashboard to determine when masks and social distancing are required. And currently the dashboard shows that we are at a medium risk level and also that it is holding steady. And so on the next slide, there is a QR code that you can take a picture of with your phone if you also want to follow the dashboard and see how things are developing with respect to COVID-19 in San Antonio. And so because we remain at medium transmission, face coverings are not required, but they are strongly encouraged for unvaccinated individuals that enter the courthouse and the central jury room for business, as well as 3 feet of social distancing is required for courtroom proceedings. And I want to make sure that you know that each judge can have their own more stringent standards if they wish. And so there could be a situation where a particular judge would request that you do wear a face mask or an increased amount of social distancing. And if that's what the judge is requiring in their courtroom, then those are the rules that have to be followed. So you will be placed on a panel, possibly this morning, and you will be told when and where to report on Friday. They'll tell you that this morning in a breakout room. And then you'll also get an email indicating that information as well. And so prior to your arrival down at the courthouse, the central jury room and the courts will be disinfected. And there are several hand sanitizing stations around the courthouse. And there's one located at the entrance of the central jury room. And after the presentation this morning, you will have an opportunity to talk to either me or one of the assistant jury room staff regarding any disqualifications, exemptions, COVID-19 concerns, or if you have a time constraint for Friday morning and can't make it, you will be able to talk to us this morning once the presentation is over. I also just want to let you know that there were some issues that kind of developed over the course of having juries qualified on Zoom and then reporting to court. And so one of those is that we are requesting that when you do report to court, that you please not report to the court more than 15 minutes before the time you were asked to come. If you arrive down at the courthouse and it's greater than 15 minutes ahead of the time you were asked to come, please go to the basement. There's a cafeteria in the basement. There's a little outside courtyard that's next to the cafeteria. So if you can wait in that area, and then about 15 minutes before the time you were asked to come, if you could then go up to the hallway where the courtroom is located, and please do not enter the courtroom. Courtroom staff will come get you when it's time, but prior to trial starting, there's often pretrial motions being had and the parties may be conferring and there may be witnesses kind of lingering around. And so we just want to make sure that the jury stays separate and doesn't run the risk of hearing anything regarding the trial prior to coming in for the voir dire. So if you can please wait in the hallway and just wait until the courtroom staff comes and gets you. And we have a brief video to give you just some information about what's going on down at the courthouse.
Hello, I'm Rosie Alvarado, local administrative judge of Bexar County, Texas. Your local judges want participants of in-person court proceedings to take part in those proceedings in the safest manner possible. This short video provides an overview of the health and safety protocols implemented in the Bexar County complex. We, the courts, rely on the safety recommendations of the CDC and the San Antonio Metro Health Advisors. We have confidence that these protocols meet the current and best practices to keep all court staff, practitioners, and the public safe during their visit at the courthouse. We look forward to seeing you in court.
Visitors to the Bexar County Court Complex can feel confident the courts are exercising best practices regarding health and safety. Hospital-grade UVC light air sanitizers have been installed in the air handlers in all Bexar County-owned buildings. There are also 74 freestanding hospital-grade commercial HEPA air filters available to use. Foot-operated sanitizer dispensers are available at each building entrance, courtroom entrance, and at elevators. Courtrooms have been outfitted with plexiglass shields and distanced layouts. Courthouse staff are protected by plexiglass shields. Judges may require face coverings and maximum social distancing in their own courtrooms. When entering the building, please maintain social distance protocols. The court complex is comprised of 3 buildings: the historic Bexar County Courthouse, the Kadena Reeves Justice Center, and the Paul Elizondo Tower. The historic courthouse houses the probate courts, the civil district courts, and the civil county courts at law. The Dolorosa entrance and Nueva entrance have stairs. The accessible entrance is through the Heritage Center. The Kadena Reeves Justice Center houses the 4th Court of Appeals, the criminal district courts, and the criminal county courts at law. This building has an accessible entrance on Dolorosa. The Paul Elizondo Tower houses the office of the district attorney and a select number of courts. This building has 1 accessible entrance on Nueva. Our courts will continue to operate with the most current information and in consideration of the health and safety of our community. We look forward to seeing you.